I think I was telling you I had Yuri and Jacob on from the Straight
Yeah,
Pipes.
sick.
Yeah. They've got a system down for sure.
Yeah, I bet.
They're banging out 2 a week.
That's crazy.
I can't imagine.
And their brother edits for them too.
Now.
Yeah.
Before it was just them.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Because not to claim, but I like got Yuri into shooting car stuff.
Oh,
like
for
motoring.
For motoring.
Yeah.
Were you shooting for motoring?
Yeah. That's how we met.
Oh, okay. True.
Remember
I was
that?
gonna ask you. That's how we. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it must have been through snowboarding or something.
It was that first, and like I kind of looked up to him almost. Like
Yeah.
he was a bit older in our area.
Yeah.
And then we just kept in touch because he was into filming, and he's like, yo, he was super into flying drones at the time, like way back. And he's like, yo, I want to fly some drones, buy some cars. I was like, yo, come out and like shoot for motoring. And then
claim to fame. You got Yuri into his million subscribers on YouTube.
on his he did like a YouTube shout out thing, and
Okay.
and he did give me a bit of a shout out, but I'm waiting for him. I'm like, yo, let's shoot something together.
Yeah, for sure.
They're huge now.
Man, they've got a good thing going.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So when did you stop shooting for? So how did you start shooting? Like, did you start filming and shooting like ever since you were a little kid?
Yeah. Are we rolling now?
Yeah, we're rolling.
Oh, okay. Maybe don't take that stuff of me claiming I started Yuri's career.
All right, I'll ask him.
But I originally I was like super similar background to you. I was super into snowboarding and skateboarding, and then one thing led to another, and when I was pretty young, I was probably 12 or 13, like just making skateboard videos and snowboard videos, and then my parents' best friends owned Motoring TV, Brad and Isabel Diamond. So
Okay.
when I was like coming into high school, I was like super keen to try and work with them over the summers. And
So your passion, like you were obviously like kind of, we all were like into snowboarding and skateboarding and stuff. And you were always filming that? Like, were you filming it, making edits with your buddies? Like you were the main guy behind the camera and had the equipment?
yeah, like I was skateboarding with my friends, and then, I just kind of picked up a camera that my parents had, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun to like make these edits and shoot my buddies. And then I went away up north to like work all summer with a buddy of mine, and I just saved up all summer, and I came home and bought like a somewhat legitimate camera for shooting skateboarding and snowboarding, and then a computer to edit on.
Sure.
And then that like really started to get it going, and started shooting with other people and different athletes. And
so back in high school though, you got that job to shoot with motoring.
Yeah, that was kind of at the same time as I was shooting like skateboarding and snowboarding.
Yeah.
So I was like kind of, balancing my time motoring sometimes, and that was super fun work, obviously shooting like all the newest cars and getting to drive them and do fun stuff with them, and then also shooting like professional skateboarding essentially, and then also snowboarding.
So that was the first, like the motoring was like, okay, you kind of got that gig through a family friend. Then when you started shooting skateboarding, how did you kind of make your own introduction there? Did you have any connections there, like to go shoot professional skateboarding?
Yeah, I had a few within the industry, and then I think when you get into that world and you start like working with this athlete, like this skateboarder, that skateboarder, like, and you're fun to work with, and
just a normal guy.
Yeah, and it's like, it's obviously super fun to shoot, and we're like, traveling and running around and having a blast.
Yeah.
And also kind of being productive.
Yeah.
It was cool. But yeah, I'd say it was more just like the relationships with the skateboarders.
Okay.
And then I became good friends with Brandon Del Bianco, who's from Toronto.
That's a skateboarder?
Yeah, skateboarder. And he was like quite heavily involved with Element. Like he was a really good skateboarder and on contract with Element.
Okay.
And he essentially brought me to like the team manager and said, okay, like this, like we're going to be working on a project together. And then that's when I came home with a contract from Element. And I was pretty young, and my parents didn't really understand what was going on. And then I brought this contract home, and like it like laid out the like budgets and rates, and like they were like pretty good.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, okay, this is pretty wild. And my parents were like, yeah, well, I guess you can make a career doing this.
And that was high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was in high school.
Man, so did you have aspirations to go to college? Did you go to college?
I went to college. I went to Humber for television production videography.
Okay.
I didn't necessarily want to,
Yeah.
but my parents were like, you should probably go get the paper
Sure.
to sign off that you can actually do this.
So you're traveling with Element, like as just an Element shooter?
Essentially, yeah. So it was, and I was mostly working with, like, I had essentially 3 skateboarders I was primarily shooting with. And yeah, they just, like, we had budgets to, go shoot a street part or go shoot, like, we would do like check-ins at skate parks and like do like kind of a 1-day shoot, make a little edit that they would promote.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So that's like right out of high school, and then do you have to take time off to go to college?
No,
like time off shooting, or you just kept shooting?
I kept shooting and working through college.
Yeah.
Yeah, I balanced it pretty well, and most of my teachers were good about it. It was a 3-year program. Come 3rd year, my script writing teacher, I like had this crazy opportunity to go to the Arctic Circle to like shoot for Mercedes with motoring.
Okay.
And my script writing teacher was like, if you go, you're failing the class. And I was like,
no way.
Come on. And all my other teachers were like, this is a cool opportunity. You're working in the industry. Like, I had to prove it.
Yeah.
And they were stoked. And then, yeah, the script writing teacher like failed me.
So
I had
you obviously went.
Yeah, I went. I was like, come on, man. And he was so unreasonable. I was like, you cut me a break here. I'm like, not really in the industry to write scripts here. Like,
yeah,
it's a cool opportunity. And yeah, he failed me. So I had to like go back once a week the following semester. And I was just livid. I was like,
that's crazy. So you're just kind of doing this like freelance at the time, right? Like do you have like are you incorporated or whatever? You're just going contract by contract?
Yeah. I was just a freelancer.
Yeah.
And I always like the business side of it always like excited me so much, and like growing the business and trying to like make those new connections within the automotive industry, action sports industry. Like it was super fun. And I was getting contracted out for like certain jobs. Like, hey, there's this snowboard event coming to Canada, like we want to hire you to shoot it.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And then so after that you started shooting snowboarding more and like backcountry snowboarding and stuff. And is that, I mean, I don't want to say like, it sounds like when you got that Element contract, it's like, yeah, you made it, right? But do you like, are you getting kind of steady work in that snowboard world? And that's like, you're really freaking out there on your own in charge of the whole deal?
Yeah, it ended up being like that. It was like a crazy series of connections and events that led me to that.
Yeah.
I like having the skateboard shooting background. I also had one of my good friends was the sales rep for Yes Snowboards. Okay. And that's 3 pretty big time pro snowboarders started this company. Yeah. And now they're like one of the top snowboard brands in the world. But he was the sales rep, and I was doing a bit of like rep work with him. And he brought me to a sales meeting, introduced me, and was like, hey guys, this guy shoots like skateboarding, some snowboarding. Yeah. Not that much at the time. But and one of the professional snowboarders that owns Yes was like, oh, I'm actually making like a feature length film called Balance, and it's going to be skate, snow, and surf, and I don't have anyone to shoot the skate yet. So he's like, are you down to like be involved? We're going to be shooting Costa Rica for a month. We're going to be shooting like skateboarding with like the best skateboarders in the world, Mark Appleyard and stuff. The Globe team came down, and then we were shooting surfing for like another few weeks. So I was like, sign me up. Like the budgets weren't crazy, but it was like obviously an insane opportunity. And then it was same as the skateboard world. Like one thing led to another. And then next thing you know, he was like, hey, like we need a filmer to go to Baldface for a week and like shoot like Kat and Helly there. Yeah. Are you good? And I was like, yeah, let's go. But it was hilarious. Like you could tell like they were like, yo, why is this kid from Toronto coming to shoot backcountry snowboarding? Like, yeah, he's not like, I wasn't like super knowledgeable with like avalanches. Yeah. And, like, where to go at the time. Like I'd shot a lot of park stuff, but not like big mountain backcountry. So it was a learning curve, but like those guys helped me out, and I ended up shooting it for years. Like I went on trips all around the world with them, and it was a blast. Taught me a lot. Yeah. So during that time, I mean, I'm sure it was earlier, but during that time, are you like, yeah, I made it, this is what I'm doing forever, or is that pretty early on? It was pretty early on. Like I knew I was still like, I still wanted to grow a business more and like, you know, have it a bit more of like infrastructure behind me.
Yep.
Rather than just being like a guy that gets, you know, hired out day here, week there.
Sure.
But it was super fun. And like, obviously I was really living, like I was,
oh man,
this is nuts. Like I'm traveling with like some of the best backcountry snowboarders in the world.
And I'm sure guys like that you had on your wall as a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Meeting them.
Yeah, I'd looked up to them forever. Like DCP was kind of the main snowboarder I was working with, and he's one of the founders of Yes.
Okay.
But he had been on Burton for years and said to be, you know, one of the best backcountry snowboarders in the world. So we, it was essentially that like Costa Rica trip. We became super tight, and he like was down to feed me with some cool opportunities. So
that's good. So after that, is that when you kind of like start your own business and like get a building and really kind of promote and put some money into the project?
Yeah. So
or the company?
I had been like, I was kind of shooting on my own for a while between like motoring and a guy named Brian Hunt up in Collingwood. He does like a lot of Tourism Ontario stuff.
Okay.
And he was a big mentor of mine. And through Brian and a few of our other colleagues, I met Nick, who's my business partner.
Right. Taylor Reid is your company.
Correct. Yeah.
And Nick is your partner.
Yeah.
And
Nick
that
Taylor.
was how long ago did you guys become partners?
So it was like 2017.
Okay.
We kind of started the business, but we didn't land our first job until 2018.
Okay.
We just kind of put it together towards the end of the year, and we each had our own things going on. Like I was doing motoring, he was doing some documentary work, but we kind of had like, it worked out perfectly because our first job that we landed as a business was the longest snowmobile race in the world.
Jeez.
So that was
I didn't know about that.
Yeah. So it was in Labrador for like, and we had helicopters, and we were just like essentially following the snowmobile race for like, we were living up there for like a month.
How long's the race?
It lasts like a week.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's cool. Like you go way up to the northern tip of Labrador. You can only get to like by sled or helicopter.
What's the format of this race?
It's a lot to explain, but essentially there's like checkpoints.
Okay.
And you're timed to each checkpoint, and
Sure.
then at each checkpoint you have to like, you have downtime.
Right.
But you can't work on your snowmobile, for example, like during that downtime. So if something goes wrong with your sled, you're on your own time.
Oh, during race time.
Race time, yeah.
So it's about the machine a little bit too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that I had shot it for another company a previous year.
Okay.
And then they had the proposal out.
Yeah.
So we
you guys quoted on it.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
and landed it.
Nice.
And it was crazy because like it went, they were like trying to get a hold of us, I guess, and it was like going to our spam folder.
Oh my goodness.
And then like,
this is your first contract?
yeah, first contract. And it was like at the time it was such a big deal. We're like, no way, like we made it. Like this is nuts. But we were like, we haven't heard back from them. They were supposed to award it like a few weeks ago.
Yep.
And then Nick's like, man, I just checked my spam folder, and like there's an email from them in here. And we got it. And I was like, no way. So we called them, and they're like, yeah, we had been trying to get a hold of you.
We're playing hard to get.
Yeah. Well, we're like, just give us a call maybe. But
Yeah.
anyways, we ended up locking that in. And that for us, we were like, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it
full
was,
month shoot, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were like living in Labrador. Like it was such a wild experience, middle of nowhere.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that was obviously a huge opportunity for us. And then we, from there, like, the momentum just started, and we were like, okay, well, we can each kind of start focusing on this. Because as I mentioned, I was always kind of excited to start some sort of like a bigger business.
Yep.
I just didn't want to be like working
Sure.
alone as a shooter for too long.
So how did you guys go out and get those next contracts? Like just reaching out to people you know? And
A bit of that, and a bit of just word of mouth.
yeah.
Like we shot that snowmobile race, and then friends of friends were racing in it on behalf of Yamaha.
Okay.
And then we were like, hey, Yamaha, like we could potentially do some stuff for you too if you're down. Like while we're there, we could do some like extra stuff with the Yamaha race
smart.
team. And then next thing you know, it was like a year or two later, we landed the contract doing all of Yamaha's snowmobile content globally.
Dude, I just saw that one you did. Unbelievable.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been fun. Like it's such a fun shoot, the Yamaha stuff. Like we've been doing it for 4 years now.
Yeah.
But Nick always says it's like summer camp. Like we camp out in these like cabins in the middle of nowhere and just shoot like all of next year's snowmobiles and laying low so they're not getting posted or seen. But
yeah. That last shoot was Montana.
Yeah, this year we did it in West Yellowstone, Montana. So we were out there shooting for a few weeks. It was super fun.
Now, are you guys like expected to be like super proficient on sleds in the backcountry and like get around and not get stuck and hold the day up and stuff?
Fortunately, most of Yamaha's snowmobile market is trail.
Okay.
They have a few mountain sleds.
Yeah.
And because from my snowboard experience, I do have like
a
bit of like I can kind of get myself by in the backcountry on snowmobiles.
Yeah.
But those shoots, like we do bring out an expert. So a good buddy of mine that was also on contract with he like only shoots backcountry.
Okay, I see.
Skiing and snowboarding and snowmobile.
So he can boot around. Yeah.
So we bring Taylor out. He's from Squamish. We bring him out every year, and he handles like majority of the backcountry stuff. But this year I came out with him, and we shot with Brock Hoyer. He's like a professional snow biker and snowmobiler, and it was super fun few days in the backcountry.
Man, so that was like the second contract you guys landed, and you're still doing it today.
I'm not sure it was necessarily the second, but we essentially pitched doing a little series for them.
Okay.
On that snowmobile race.
Okay.
And then we made the connection, and then we chatted further with them, and they essentially awarded that contract to us. But yeah, still have it, and it's still fun.
Man, everyone should go check those out. Those shots are freaking sexy.
Thanks, man.
They're
yeah,
good.
We got lucky with like the weather and the snow, and as you know, being in like the back, it's so hit or miss. And
you could be out there and it's just like a storm, or like there's no snow.
Yeah.
Especially down in the States, sometimes there's just no snow sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it hadn't snowed in like weeks. And Taylor's like super, like he's a crazy backcountry shooter, and he spends all his time in the backcountry. And he was kind of concerned. He's like, man, there's not a lot of snow. This isn't good. Like, but we went up to the backcountry, and Brock like brought us to the craziest zone. We almost, we had to traverse like all these crazy spots. I was way in over my head, but we found a zone with fresh snow, and it ended up being a bluebird day, and the stars aligned. And as you know, it can go the complete opposite in the backcountry.
Yeah. Broken snowmobiles, helicopter out, like the worst, just burn days.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're on someone else's dollar with like 6 prototype snowmobiles, you're just sweating that much more, being like, okay, we got to get this done.
Yeah, no doubt. So you just came just now before the interview. You came from your office in Toronto. What's the deal with having an office in Toronto? You live in Collingwood, right?
Yeah. It depends who's asking.
Okay.
I split the time between Toronto and Collingwood.
Sure.
We don't do any work in Collingwood, but I grew up in Toronto, and I'm similar to you, just like outdoor enthusiast. Like I like to be outside, biking, snowboarding, stuff like that. So I got kind of drawn up to Collingwood a handful of years ago, and just love it.
Dude, Collingwood, I'm so jealous of like your group of friends. Like that whole scene is so cool. Like motocross track, mountain bike, gravel riding, surfing, Blue Mountains right there, you're snowboarding, hunting, fishing, like you can't beat it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a little hidden gem, and we got a good group of friends up there, as you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there's so many activities and such a good time. So what I do is I'll come down to the city, like come down to Toronto a few days a week.
Yeah.
Hang out at our office, do some work, meetings, shoots, like anything like that. So I'd say like, a lot of people in the industry kind of assume I live in Toronto.
Sure.
But I spend my downtime in Collingwood, and
Yeah. So you think it's essential to have a spot in Toronto?
Yeah, it was
that a big decision?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And we weren't sure. We were like, man, like it's obviously a decent expense, and but we got it right over COVID, which was great.
Okay.
Because the prices were cheap, and like places were trying to get you in. Like normally you sign a 5-year lease for like commercial real estate.
Yeah.
For us, it was 1 year.
Oh, right on.
And yeah, we were debating it for a long time, but the start, like it all kind of started to align. And then a buddy of ours was like, hey, like, do your competitors have offices? And we're like, yeah. And then he's like, well, there's your answer. Like, what are you guys doing?
Right.
And every kind of decision within the business that we were like so hesitant to make like that.
Yep.
We were like, a few months later, we look back at it. We're like, what were we thinking? Even debating that we should have done it sooner.
Yeah, you knew it was the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good spot. And over COVID, it was great because we were allowed to work.
Right.
There was obviously like a lot of precautions and things you had to follow, but it was a great spot to have because we could like, you know, do our pre-production meetings and, you know, get
Kinda
ready
in your own space.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you guys do everything in-house, start to finish?
No. Well, it depends on the project.
Okay.
Some projects we do, like we have an in-house editor, producer. Nick and I will shoot. We have our own gear.
Yeah.
But when it gets to like the higher kind of commercial level, which is what we're primarily focusing on,
right,
it's like all handled by other, you know, people and companies. So even like the producer will be hired on just for that job.
Okay.
And then the editing will get passed off to an edit house.
Oh, okay.
And then the sound will get passed off to a sound house, and then it will get color corrected at another facility. So it's like there's like so many other.
That's almost kind of nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, and coming from our background where we were just trying to manage everything start to finish, and then like coming to the bigger like commercial scale, it was such an interesting learning curve because like you show up, do the shoot, and then like the agency kind of handles it from there.
Yeah.
There's obviously a lot more work involved on the front end because they want like, you know, all the creative and all that stuff really done up. But
at least it's kind of like you don't get to the end of the project, and I'm sure this has probably happened to some degree. Like, and it's like, oh, that's not really the vision we were going for. Whereas like they already have that whole vision and everything in place. You're just responsible for getting the shots.
Exactly. Yeah. And we'll be involved with the vision. So that's like a lot of work, and it's a long process, like doing the pre-production and storyboarding and all of that stuff. But like when we roll into that shoot day, like every shot is planned to the minute that we'll be shooting it. And like the lighting is already, like the lighting guys already know where those lights are going. And it's like, you know, in theory, a very smooth operation. And we're just kind of like getting shot after shot and making sure everyone's happy and signing off on like, okay, this looks good. This looks good.
Yeah.
And it makes it better going into the edit process because, you know, they know exactly what we got.
When you guys, I guess when you guys decided you were going to be partners, did you go out and spend like a whole ton of money on equipment? And do you own all your equipment? Like, how does that all work? Or do you rent like pieces for different shoots?
Yeah. So how we started was Nick and I each had a bit of our own gear.
Yeah.
That could kind of get us by. And renting gear in the film industry is like super common. Like people don't normally own their own gear, especially people in like our position, because the cameras we're using are so expensive that like you have to be using them real often to make it worthwhile.
Sure.
So we had our own gear to get us by, and then we would rent if the project kind of had a certain production level we wanted to hit. Yeah. And then we were renting so much that we decided to buy our own gear. So we bought a Red camera. It was like the first this new Red camera they brought into Canada. Yeah. So
what's that thing worth?
It's like 60.
That's insane to the average guy. Eh?
Yeah.
$60,000 camera.
But to rent it is like $1,500 per day.
Okay.
So, you know, you use it enough and it becomes worth it.
Oh, for sure.
And
for sure.
Same with like we bought anamorphic lenses, which is like kind of cinema grade lenses, and we bought a second Red camera, and like it all becomes worth it as you get busier and busier and the projects scale up higher, and it's like kind of expected that with this production like you're gonna be using a Red camera. Right.
So that's kind of an industry standard. I mean, like some of those commercials you do like are insane. Like you guys shot, what was it, the EA Sports like NHL game? Did you shot like all that, the whole commercial?
Yeah, we did the release trailer for NHL 20.
Okay.
And that was Auston Mathews on the cover.
Yeah.
But that was also like a hilarious story. I was in Greece on this like yacht partying, and I met this guy, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm the creative director at EA."
No way.
I was like, "No way." Yeah. So we had, and he's from Vancouver but now lives in San Francisco, and we hit it off, and we were like shotgunning beers and just like having a time. And then we like chatted on Instagram, and we had been, you know, acquaintances for like a year. Yep. And then he we released this project we did with Faf and Danny Green, one of the Raptors.
Okay.
And I guess it kind of aligned on something they were looking for.
Mm.
And next thing you know, like all these guys from EA started following us. And I was like, yo, Nick, what's up with this? Like I see a bunch of EA stuff coming down the line. And then we just got like an email out of nowhere from the guy from EA being like, hey, we want to use you guys to shoot this like commercial for Auston Mathews. We thought, that project you guys just did kind of aligned with what we were looking for.
Okay.
So
what was that like? Like, what was it like shooting with like all those guys? I mean, were you like a hockey fan growing up? And,
oh yeah, big hockey fan. Yeah.
So still are.
Yeah.
So it was like
it was
Matthews.
crazy. Yeah, it was nuts. And like it was obviously like that was a big step for us. Like that commercial was like a big jump within like a production level. Like we were like, wow, this is like we need to bring in a lot of crew and like set up for this to make it like what they want.
Yep.
But yeah, it was an unbelievable experience. Like I was out on the ice shooting like with the camera on my skates with him, like skating around. He was like deking around the camera, and that was sick. It was so fun.
Yeah, that must have been surreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was at the what is it, Rogers Center?
No, it was I think it's called the Ford Center now, so it's their practice facility.
Okay.
Yeah. So he finished practice and then just rolled over, and it was like right before playoffs, so we had to keep it pretty quick and make sure like he was just in and out.
Right. Oh, that's pretty cool. I want to ask you about some other projects later, but like the process of, when you're young, skateboarding, making an edit, the whole thing, like how has that changed? Are you more stoked now on the art side of things than when you were young, or more excited about like the days in the field with the people or the business aspect? Like what gets you excited?
I feel like it's a bit of everything.
Yeah.
We've been lucky to like produce things in crazy, remote, interesting places like the middle of Africa and Labrador and Arctic Circle. So like that side of it's super fun to be able to travel and like still work, and it's my passion, so it's super fun. And like, but rolling into a big shoot day and everyone's super happy with how it's all looking, and like at the end of that shoot day, it's the best feeling. And those days, I think like a lot of people in the industry come from the action sports world, and I think it's because of like the adrenaline rush you get on these like massive shoot days.
Yep.
And it's just so fun. Like, and we're like, I look around pretty often on these crazy shoot days, and it's like, it is getting like, it's a lot of work and intense, and you're just dealing with a lot of people, but we're like, hey, we're with like our friends making art for like a company. Yeah. It's like pretty fun. Like I would almost be here regardless to do this. And that's what Nick always says. He's like, yo, if I won the lottery, I'd be here tomorrow still. Like we're still going to keep doing what we're doing. Yeah. It's so fun.
That's perfect, man. That's how you know you're doing the right thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I won the lottery. And like to get to the amount of money some people would pay just to be like that fly on the wall watching these pro athletes do what they're doing.
Yeah.
Would, to go into like, I've seen it sometimes, you just bump into a pro shoot in the backcountry. And like it's like, all right, Rye, we're not skiing today. We're just gonna watch this go down. Yeah, and we'll just hang out with the cameraman. It's like, this is great.
Yeah, it's fun, man. And even like for the Mathews shoot, one of our buddies is like so into hockey and the Leafs.
So he must have freaked out.
So we needed someone like the same height as him to roll through the whole shoot because it was so scheduled.
Okay.
So we brought him out, and we didn't really tell him what it was about. We're like, yo, just come out to this. And he's like, okay, why am I putting on like Mathews gear? And then we like went through the rehearsal, had like everything dialed in.
Yeah.
And then like Mathews rolled up, and then he ended up having to like pass some one-timers for like the commercial.
He must have just been fired up.
Yeah, he was stoked. So that was like, it's always fun to like get a friend involved that would appreciate it, but also do like a great job. And, you could tell him exactly what you need.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's like, he's got stories forever now from that, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a big shoot for us, and just hilarious looking back on it, that it all stemmed from like
partying,
shotgunning a bunch of beers on a yacht in Greece.
That's great. So like got the alarm going off here. The, like in the last, call it 5 years, like we've gone into this social media era where like Instagram, TikTok, like content has become king. Have you guys, how has that affected your business? Have you guys like ridden that wave? Are you doing more and more stuff strictly for social media?
Yeah, I think like we're still trying to get to like the traditional like commercial kind of almost TV commercial level.
Yep.
But what happens now is and it doesn't affect us too much, but like it just gets repurposed a whole bunch of times for social media.
Right.
So and we are shooting stuff often for just online or social media use. So it is like it has definitely helped our business grow.
Yeah.
But we don't really like most of the time when a project comes to us, we don't even know where it's going to go, where it's going to live, like what the company's going to do with it. But we will know they'll repurpose it a whole bunch of times to, you know, go on Instagram or TikTok or whatever online and then go to broadcast as well.
Right. So you're always aiming for that broadcast quality. Those are the clients you're hunting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they'll just cut it up. Like, you know, it's funny. I was thinking of questions and I'm like, I wonder if you've ever done like a full shoot just for someone's like a personal, like a person's social media. You know what I mean? Like like a rich person, even if they're not like a content creator, I could see them hiring like a crew to shoot a bunch of content for the weekend or something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not really our.
Yeah. Your space.
Yeah. We're not super into that, but we have done like, we've had, you know, a really well-known influencer come to us and just say, hey, I have this brand partnership with this company. And this is like the shoot.
Okay.
So we've done that in the past, but not super recently. And yeah, it's not really our space. We like to work with brands a lot. And
why is that?
They
pay better. They have better, longer contracts.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just like the automotive world, especially. It's like there's so many new cars coming out every day. Like there has to be a lot of content being shot with these cars. So I think there's a lot of work to go around.
Yeah.
And even like throughout COVID, we got a big project with a manufacturer, and it was because like all the car shows got canceled, so they needed to repurpose those budgets.
Right.
So they just wanted some like really kind of high-end content across Canada with 3 different vehicles.
So shooting car commercials.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's like it's obviously super fun, as you know, like going out and shooting cars with your buddies. It's like, it's the dream.
Yeah. And you're like, the more you beat on the car, the better the shots are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you worry, it's something I've been thinking about, do you worry about like the ability of the computers and the AI going forward to like in deep fakes and stuff, just to be able to create content, just to generate content without actually filming real life stuff? Do you worry about that, like supplanting you?
It's funny you say that. I was just in the grocery store the other day, and it was like almost majority of the checkout was like self-checkout, and then there's just like a few cashiers there, and I was like just scanning, and I could go so fast, and I was looking, I was like, I wonder if they're like concerned
that you're super fast.
Yeah. But you say that, no, not really. Like I'm not overly phased, and I think a lot of it is like the dealing with the people, like how you deal with people, how you are on set. Like we like to have such a fun time when we're on set, and I think that is like, I think that will always outweigh like a computer shooting something.
Sure.
And then like the creative, a lot of like the big commercials is the pre-production, as I mentioned. It's just like a lot of creative and planning and like other work. When it comes like actually shooting it can be almost a small part of the job at the end of the day.
Right. So are you guys coming up with a lot of those creative ideas and stuff and coming to the companies with those ideas?
Every job's different.
Okay.
The more traditional commercial, the agency will have like a creative team that's designated to that project and came up with the idea and all of that. And then they come to us and essentially say like you make it your own.
Right.
So we'll, suggest like, oh, well, let's shoot here and let's shoot it with these lenses in this way. Yep. And this tool, and they'll be like, yeah, that's perfect. You understand the vision. Okay. Whereas sometimes we work directly to client like Yamaha and say like, hey, they'll come to us and say, we have a new snowmobile for like teens. Like, so it's not a youth and it's not a full size adult sled.
Right.
What should we do? And then we would come up with the idea, we should have like a father and son, and come up with the idea behind it.
Do you guys just sit down and brainstorm that?
Depends.
I always want to ask people like what their creative process is, because mine so often is like falling asleep in bed and then having to grab my phone and write down notes.
That happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, my business partner Nick comes up with like a lot of the kind of cool ideas, and he's on it. Like, he's always got something cool for the next project. But I think it comes to me randomly like that, or I'll be biking and be like, oh, that, like, this would be cool to try. Yeah. Or this would be a cool story to try and like make around this product. Yeah. But yeah, it's always different.
It's funny, like I want to streamline that process, because it's like you're doing something and then you like have to grab your phone and write it down, because so many times you're like, oh, I'll remember that, and you don't remember it.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you're sitting like at your desk trying to come up with it, it's never there. Yeah. Yeah. And I think we're probably similar to that, where we're like, trying to be as active as possible, and we're always outside and running around.
Elon Musk put that chip in me so I can just make a note.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you were saying that you guys like you've traveled like a shit ton all over the world. Give me a list of some of like the most exotic places.
Oh man, it's tough. I've been like, Russia was really cool. We've been all over Africa, like Ethiopia, Burkina Faso was wild. Like, that's, I think, one of the poorest countries in the world.
What were you guys shooting there?
It was a commercial for a charity.
Okay.
All through Europe, like Switzerland. Yeah. Love it there. Japan, I've been to about 7 times.
For snowboarding?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Chile.
For snowboarding again?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Russia, what was that for?
That was with Porsche, actually, for motoring TV.
Really?
Yeah.
What were they doing in Russia?
They were releasing the new Cayenne.
In Russia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was cool. It was Kamchatka, which is like the most eastern south point.
Oh, I've thought of that. There's a ski hill there or something?
Maybe.
But it's like super out there.
So remote.
Yeah.
And apparently it was closed to like just the military up until like 10 years ago or something.
Okay.
So it's all like black sand and like blue water and volcanoes, and like it's like a really unique place.
Huh. So did you ever have any like super sketchy situations like in Africa or the Middle East or any other like countries?
Yeah, a few. Traveling with camera gear gets hairy. Like, people are always on edge, and like I think it's partially like, what are you doing here with cameras, and like, are you illegally importing gear or
so
something?
Is it like, okay, give me a sketchy customs story. Is that what you're talking about? Like customs?
Yeah, customs was bad in Ethiopia. Yeah. My bag got lost. I was on a shoot in LA, and I was flying to Ethiopia, and my bag got lost, and it had like a bit of gear in it. Okay. Like, we try and carry on most of the important stuff. Right. But we had like a light and like a few things in my checked bag, and we were going far from the airport to shoot for like 2 or 3 days, and my bag wasn't going to get there for like 2 days. So it just stayed at the airport. Right. And
which is sketchy.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I came to get it the day we were leaving. Right. So we were coming to the airport to fly out. We were flying out that evening. It was in the morning. I go to get the bag, and then I'm like leaving. They were like, "What's this?" It's a light. Yeah. They're like, "Well, what's it worth?" Like, and the language barrier was hitting a bit. Yeah. And it escalated so fast. Like, I was like pulled into this room. Oh. They were like, "You're not going anywhere." I was like in the airport for like 4 hours or something. Jeez. Like, guns were drawn. Like, it was nuts.
How'd you get out of it? What was like the conclusion?
The conclusion, I was like, I just need to go back to my hotel room and gather my belongings, and then I'm flying out in like a few hours now, because my day has been wasted. Right. So I was like, man, just like, I don't need this light. Yeah. By the end of it, I was like, throw it out. And they're like, this is our property. Like, you can't tell us to throw out our property.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, come on. And I was like, okay, well, why don't you just keep the light here? I'm going to go back to my hotel and get my stuff, and then I'll come back to the airport and I'll pick up the light as I'm checking the bag in. So like, I'm not going to sell it. I'm not even using it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get home now. And I just left it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
Not
like,
even worth going back.
Yeah. It was a long, intense process. And we had a translator with us and like kind of someone that was, looking after us, and they couldn't even come into where I was. So I was just stuck in this room alone with like them speaking broken English. And it was like, it got heated so many times. And by the end I was starting to get frustrated, and they were like letting me know, hey, you remember like who's in charge here?
Yeah, no doubt.
So that got a bit hairy, but yeah, it's a few instances like that.
Anything like just out like that wasn't customs related, like people looking at you like, hey, that guy's got like $100,000 worth of camera stuff?
Not often, because we were traveling with like a bigger crew, but I did in Chile. We were shooting deep in the backcountry and camping back there, and we were paying someone off to charge our gear.
Hang on, what were you shooting out there?
Backcountry snowboarding
In Chile?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were there with with some North Face athletes.
Yeah.
And they had this little cabin in the middle of the backcountry, completely off the grid. Takes like an hour to get to from the car.
Okay.
So you had to like drive in, load a sled with a toboggan, fuel, food, everything, and then drive in. But halfway between there was like some sort of like a mine that I don't think was like necessarily fully legit.
Sure.
But they had power and we didn't. So like every morning we would snowmobile to charge the batteries for the cameras, because that's the only thing we didn't have. We had fuel, food, everything at the cabin. So every morning I would sled out, get the batteries, sled back. And one day, like, some different guy was there that didn't speak English. And like, a gun got drawn.
No.
Yeah. And he was like, yo, what are you doing here with the camera pointing at me?
Oh my goodness.
And they don't speak, it's just Spanish.
Right.
So I'm trying to show him that like my battery charger is in the other room.
Yep.
And then someone else came who spoke a bit of English, and it got worked out. But it's all like, yeah, nothing. Those two were probably the worst.
Yeah. I've never had a gun drawn on me, so that's crazy.
Yeah, it was wild.
So what were they mining?
I have no idea. I didn't ask too much.
No kidding. Do
and
you ever?
Normally one of the guys would come with me that spoke Spanish, but like this one day he didn't. And then it just triggered everyone, and I was like, no way, what are the chances?
You ever, like, I guess maybe even just at home or on those travel trips, you ever, like, lose equipment or, like, lose memory cards? You ever have, like, a catastrophic failure like that, like, where the memory cards don't work or something like that?
No. Knock on wood.
Couldn't imagine.
Not really.
What do you do for redundancy, like, to back everything up?
We back everything up, like, 4 times, and then we'll give everyone on our crew, like, I'll take a drive, our producer will take a drive, so we're not like all 4 of them aren't just sitting like right in one place. We'll try and spread them out a bit, just so if a bag gets stolen or lost or damaged, like they all won't be
in one spot.
But no, like, and gear wise, like little things will break. Like in Yamaha we had like the mount on the camera like break and not read the lens properly, but like you just have to look at it like these cameras don't owe us $1. Like, we've dragged them around the world. We've shot hundreds of thousands of hours on them. Like, they've done their job, and it's just a repair job at the end of the day to get it fixed.
What is what's like the craziest thing like you or your crew has ever done to get a shot? Like, I know when we used to shoot the TV show, like we were shooting at the racetrack, and we had a trailer hitch that had a race seat on it that was fully buckled in, and the guys were doing like full lap times with a cameraman like behind there, and it's just like, or like hanging out of a helicopter, shit like that. Anything like that?
Yeah, we
every day.
it's kind of often.
Yeah.
We've used helicopters a ton, which are really fun. Like even the snowmobile race, like we were tracking the whole race by helicopter, so that was really fun. We could have the doors off, hang out the side. Shooting action sports and automotive, I've kind of always been in those situations, like hanging out the back of a car on the track, hanging out the side of a helicopter in the mountains. So it's kind of become like second nature to me a bit.
Yeah.
But A big one was we did like a release for Air Canada's new plane.
Okay.
And we like they had a Learjet and a helicopter, and we were doing like air to air with like a full blown Air Canada jet.
Okay.
So that
So air to air meaning like you're shooting out of an airplane
exactly
on another airplane.
Yeah.
So they were flying pretty tight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was probably up there for me, and I'm working on my pilot's license. I'm super into planes.
Okay.
Both my parents worked for Air Canada, so I've like
Right
it just
on.
like hit home, and that was early on in our business as well when we landed that job.
Yeah.
Another crazy fluke, but that one kind of sticks out for being like unique.
Was in what sense like unique, I guess, but like was it sketchy, like flying that close to another plane, or did that unnerve you?
Not really. Like
Okay.
I knew we had the best guys
Yeah.
in the world, literally. Like the guy Kevin LaRosa, who was kind of in charge of the whole air to air operation. He was flying the helicopter and the Learjet. He just did all like he was the head stunt pilot for the new Top Gun movie.
Oh my goodness.
So it was so legendary to like be flying with him.
Yeah.
So I wasn't overly phased. I was just like amazed. I was like, this is nuts. Like we're so close to like this jet in the air.
Is that, or what is the biggest like pinch yourself moment? Was it when you were younger, when you're like, holy shit, I'm with these pros? Or
I think it might have been the Air Canada air
Really?
to air. Yeah.
yeah.
It just hit home. Like I love aviation, and
Yeah.
like getting to be like have these planes just to do essentially whatever and get these shots. It was like a dream come true. I was like, no way.
And both your parents working for Air Canada, that's got to be like a little pride there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've just like loved them as a brand my whole life.
Yeah.
Like Air Canada.
Yeah, very Canadian company.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I felt like they always did really well, like really good video production, just their branding, like everything.
Yeah.
So it was a dream to get the call, or it was an Instagram DM. That's how
Really?
I did that one.
Is that how most deals get done nowadays?
Man, it's crazy. Like kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, it is crazy, eh? It's like everyone's kind of, I always call it like your business card.
Yeah.
A little bit. Like
Oh yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, you must have had like a shoot that went wrong as far as like an athlete's injury or something going bad in the backcountry, or like even like a motocross accident, anything like that.
Yeah, we had a professional skier I was working with. He like fell off the side of a bridge while we were shooting.
What?
Yeah. And that
What was he doing on the bridge?
It was like it was kind of unfortunate, but he had already done, it's like this big kind of bridge railing.
Yeah.
It's like a support beam that goes over the bridge.
Sure. Okay. I've seen that. Yeah.
So it goes like 40 feet in the air.
Yeah.
And he had already done it once, and
What were you shooting for?
it was called Cartel Blanc, and it was like kind of a project that he was releasing
Okay.
towards like the end of his ski career.
Yep.
And it was featuring like 4 or 5 other skiers.
Okay.
But he had already done this for a previous film, this exact bridge. It's like near Collingwood, and
Okay.
I was like, oh, I think I would have shot it like this, and I like took a photo. I like went around, took a photo from my iPhone. And he's like, okay, I think I have to do it again.
Oh no.
Yeah, so it was kind of heavy for me to see, and
He fell like pretty high.
oh yeah, the top, like getting towed in full speed by a car.
Yeah.
Because it's like big, and then went off the side, and then clipped the like support beam, flipped him around, and then like landed like on his side, and like
Just on the ground.
yeah,
Like how, what, 30 feet to flat?
yeah,
Oh my goodness.
to concrete.
Oh no.
Yeah.
How hurt was he?
He like his whole arm was like shattered, and
Oh.
it was bad. And he's like a tough dude, and I remember driving to the hospital. It was just him and I,
Oh
and it wasn't close. And we were like, he was like, this is bad. This is like really bad.
yeah.
And he was like going in and out of like,
Consciousness.
yeah, and pain. Like, yeah, it was rough.
That's a long like sit with someone
Yeah.
with no painkillers.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Anything else in the backcountry where you guys are like stuck or like airlifted out?
Fortunately, no.
That's lucky.
How about you?
No, never. We got one time, and this is obviously not on a professional level. We're just having fun in the backcountry. Buddy goes, yeah, man, can we go down there? Like, because we're trying to get to a new zone. He's like, as he's going down, he's like, my grandmother could ride up this. So we all go down into this zone, except for one guy. And, dude, it's a professional hill climb to get back out. And
No way.
so we had to, like, come along, like, winch all our sleds out the next day.
What?
We all put, like, our skis and boards on it, and we got towed down, like, down to the car, took the one sled home, rented this come along. You know what I mean by that? The cable, hooked it up to the tree, and then did each sled. It took like 4 hours. And my buddy was visiting us, and this was a full vacation day for him.
Oh my gosh.
Just wrenching on this thing.
Who was buddy that dropped in first?
A guy from Alberta.
Oh man. Yeah.
It was insane.
I'm like, it's nerve wracking out there. Like a lot of things can go wrong, and you're far from help. Like,
that's the biggest thing is like no one's coming to save you.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're calling a helicopter and getting a heavy bill.
Yeah.
And even that's like not guaranteed and not fast. Like if there's any clouds there, they can't get to you.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be able to get down.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Famous people, you've got like, if you pull up your Instagram, I should put in the show notes your Instagram. You've got like all these famous people on your Instagram. What were you shooting with Snoop Dogg?
That was something for EA as well.
What was he doing?
He like they featured him in the game.
In NHL?
Yeah, in NHL
Okay.
20.
Yep. I'm not a big video game guy.
Yeah, I'm actually not either.
Yeah.
I got a system just when we started working with EA because I was like, okay, I should probably figure out these game modes we're like shooting about.
Sure.
But yeah, they featured him in NHL 20, and he commentaries you playing.
Cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then he'll like you can play him as a character, and his like face pops up, something we shot, and he like talks to you.
Yeah.
As you're playing. So yeah, we went to his facility in LA.
His like what? Like his studio?
He's got this crazy facility. Like it's just like industrial building, but it's like his house kind of.
Does he like live there?
Yeah,
Okay.
he like sleeps there. I think his family like stays in a house
Okay.
somewhere else, but like I think Monday to kind of Friday he's like there working and has a massive studio and like lives there, but recording studios and film studios and like gaming studios, like everything.
Wow.
So yeah, we shot there. It was a good time. He's a
Smoke
character.
weed with him?
So he no, I'm not a big weed smoker. My friends absolutely torch me for this, but he rolled in right when he got there. There's like a bunch of executives from EA, TSN, like ESPN.
Yeah.
It's like a big ordeal. And he's smoking, and then he like puts it down kind of like between like me and him and a few of our crew, and he's like, it's here if anyone wants to smoke it. And then he walked away.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no chance. Like
no.
I'm gonna be useless.
Yeah.
And, like,
Not even just to say that you smoked weed with Snoop Dogg.
no.
Though. Yeah.
Like all my friends torch me. They're like, wow. Like that. Like I literally get introduced sometimes. Like, hey, this is my buddy Paul. He's the guy that like could have smoked with Snoop Dogg but decided not to.
That's how
like,
they
come on,
introduce you
man.
now.
Yeah. So I have to give this big disclaimer. Like, hey, I would have been useless at my job if I did that.
Yeah. No. Obviously not professional.
Especially his grade. Like I know he's not messing
gone to
around
sleep
with
or
the
something
weed.
in the corner.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's funny. No, I was told to ask you about that
Oh,
by your friends.
come on.
Yeah.
I should have known.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't regret it though. Like I would have butchered the entire shoot.
Yeah, no doubt. And then I don't know if I saw it somewhere, or maybe you were telling me you shot. What did you shoot with the Nelk boys? Was that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Because man, they're animals right now.
It's
Their
crazy.
podcast was it Donald Trump, Caitlyn Jenner,
it's nuts.
like back
Yeah.
to back.
Yeah, and Snoop Dogg they just
Snoop
had.
Dogg, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. They've grown a insane brand. Jesse and I grew up skateboarding together.
Okay. Just in like Mississauga, Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think like that was kind of when I was starting to get into shooting it, and he was always like super business savvy and like always trying to like start things and do things, and I was kind of in the same boat, and we always chatted and hit it off, and he actually asked me to film pranks with him once in a while.
Yep. Did you
And-
shoot any?
Yeah, so
Okay.
he had a show on MTV when he was like pretty young called Careless Teens.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that, but they
No.
shot it in Shelburne.
Okay.
And it was a decent sized show like back in the day, but
Well, it was on MTV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would shoot some of that with him once in a while.
Okay.
But him and like his buddies, it was kind of like a Canadian Jackass, and they would all shoot it. But
as young kids.
yeah, like we're pretty young, man, like high school.
Yeah.
And yeah, having like your own show on MTV. So that kind of like put him on the map. And then watching what he's done with Nelk and all the other like brands and people involved, it's so cool to see. But yeah, we have done a few like full send merch drops. Like when
videos?
when they're in California, like they'll send us some product, and Jesse will potentially fly in, and we'll like go to a ski chalet and shoot like winter stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
So we've done a few of those.
Yeah.
Or like, special things that he's getting manufactured in Canada, but his team's in LA. We'll go shoot for him.
Right.
But yeah, we keep in touch, and we went and saw him at his like the Full Send warehouse like a few months ago.
Cool.
So yeah, we keep in touch, but yeah, what they've done is absolutely insane.
Yeah, man. And just like every once in a while I'd watch like a little like on Instagram or something, I'd see a clip. I'm like, oh yeah, these guys literally grew up like 15 kilometers from here. But the podcast is just, that blew me away.
Yeah.
Like how big that is.
Skyrocketed.
How do you get Donald Trump on your podcast?
It's insane, man. And even like, I'll never forget the day like they posted they were on like Air Force One.
Yeah.
I was like, they're like on Donald Trump's plane. Like, I didn't even think anyone from the public is like allowed to set foot near that thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you serious? They're like on there chatting, like chilling with him.
Yeah. How do you trust these guys?
Yeah. And then Trump's like saying that like they'll potentially be like the next president of the United States. I was like, man, life is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. You, I guess one more guy you shot, Mitch Marner, a Red Bull deal.
Yeah.
What was that? Just a commercial?
Yeah, we do some stuff with Red Bull here in Canada, and yeah, we did like they essentially do a big shoot day with him and repurpose everything, and that'll be kind of an example of what I mentioned. Like they'll be like rolling stuff out throughout the year and just like reusing it for all sorts of different platforms and uses.
So you guys go do a bunch of different scenes and a bunch of different stuff and just bang it out in a couple days?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we went. He has like a new facility in Markham.
Okay.
That he kind of like runs different things out of, and yeah, we shot there with him for Red Bull. It was a fun day.
Yeah.
He's cool to work with, and it was straightforward. It was easy. Like we just had to do a bunch of interviews and had him like fooling around with some pucks, shooting them around and stuff.
Yeah. I just had Evan McEachran on the podcast. That'll come out it's probably already out after this gets released. But you shot something with him and Head Skis. How did that come together?
Yeah, we Evan's a beauty, such a legend.
Yeah.
We had just been like homies from Collingwood, like he grew up there.
Yeah.
And had a bunch of mutual friends and stuff, and we were hanging out, like had a similar friend group.
Yeah.
And then we just like had a few ideas we wanted to try and do with like a professional skier, snowboarder.
Okay.
And we were chatting with Evan a bunch, and he was super passionate about his car.
Yeah.
And like his Audi, and he's such a car guy, and he knew we were shooting a lot of cars, so we were just like, yeah, we should shoot something. So we actually just shot that. We went down to Atlanta. They had a big air contest down there in the Brave Stadium.
Yeah.
Which was sick to see.
I bet.
So we went down, shot it with him. We were shooting for a few different companies on behalf of Evan, and then once we finalized that video, like we shot his car, we shot like him working out, and then Head being one of his sponsors, he just essentially pitched it to them, and they wanted it. So
cool.
Yeah, it worked out. It was fun, and like it's jobs like that will win us more
big
jobs in the industry.
So you guys just did that on spec, knowing that he could pitch it to one of his sponsors.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we do that like kind of often.
Really?
Yeah.
Just when the opportunity arises, you have to capitalize on the shooting days?
Exactly. Or what we'll do is like, hey, this is a small idea and small budget, but like this could help us win jobs in the future. Like this is kind of what brands want to see these days, or agencies want to see these days.
Right.
So let's like put a bunch of money into it and make it amazing.
Yep.
Like we did a commercial for Porsche, for example. And that was right at the beginning of when we started our business. And for us, like, that was a big deal. Like, it was like a full-blown car commercial.
Yeah.
And I had shot cars a lot, but I had never like done something at that scale.
Mm-hmm.
So we took it as like an opportunity where like we gotta really like blow this one out of the water.
Yeah.
Dump all our resources into it. Like, we lost a bunch of money on it, but we were like, we know this is gonna help put us on the map to shoot more car stuff.
Yeah, totally. It's marketing and brand for you guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're what year are you born?
93.
93. Okay, you're 1 year younger than I am. You're a successful entrepreneur, young guy. Do you have like advice for anyone else starting out, you know, our age or probably a lot younger now, trying to do it on their own?
Yeah, like the big thing, we get asked a decent amount like what people suggest and how they should approach things and stuff, especially within our industry, but the big thing is like having a mentor, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just like from day one, you know, having Brad and Isabel Diamond, who own Motoring, as like mentors to me at a really young age. Like they had been friends with my parents before I was born, so they were always around, but just like working for them, seeing how they run a business, seeing like how they approach everything. It was like such a big deal. And then, you know, just like even Dan Bailey, who shoots the show, he was a big mentor to me, and he like taught me a lot about the cameras and how to shoot it. And like, I would not be close to where I am today without mentors. And I have so many, and we still do. Like, Nick and I still have like business mentors that we like keep super close to us. And one of them's the senior vice president of Herschel,
Wow.
the backpack company. And
That's a serious company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a busy dude, and he'll sit down like every quarter with us, and we rolled up and he had like a full-blown presentation ready for us about our business and our struggles and like what we should be focusing on and what we shouldn't be focusing on. And it was like that. Yeah. Like, I'd say mentorship is like by far the biggest thing. And like, if anyone reaches out to us, like, we're all ears. We're like, especially if like, you can tell right away if like the person has a good attitude and you know, they want to learn and they're super eager, like it goes a long way. And I think that's like that's a huge part of it.
Yeah, no, that's the best answer I've heard yet. I mean, to have like a one-on-one anything is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not like, again, we get approached pretty often, and I'm like more than willing to give up time to, you know, teach someone or help someone or like go through things with someone.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's super rewarding for sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's next for you guys? Where do you want to go? Do you have like a vision? Do you have like a 5-year plan? Like, what, you know, new direction, film, like?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we're just kind of focusing on trying to be competing at like the highest level of like commercials in Canada.
Yep.
So just recently we've been represented by like a bigger production company that essentially is a roster of directors that they represent. So now we're represented as a director duo. So that just brings us into a weight class that we couldn't really compete at ourselves. Like, now we're bidding against like the biggest companies in Canada for the biggest jobs.
Okay.
So, you know, starting to work with them has been really fun and cool. And it's like it's a whole nother level. It's like finally getting to play in the NHL.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, like we're planning on moving down to LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, that's kind of the next step, we think, is like having a bit more of a presence down there. Like, we have a bunch of US clients that we work with pretty often, but just being down there, like, it kind of changes everything. And it's a really small pie we're fighting over here in Canada versus what's going
available there.
Yeah. Down in the States.
Down in Hollywood. Moving
it.
to Hollywood.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the quality of life is obviously amazing. And we kind of took it in because we're like, man, the you know, it's the same. The living expenses are the same in Toronto as they are in LA. So why not? Like, let's just get our visas and go down there and, you know, work down there.
Yeah. Oh man, that'll be good.
Yeah.
When's the move?
Probably in like the fall or winter.
Cool.
We the summers here are nice. Like that, and that's a big part of it is like the weather.
Yeah.
for us, we're like, there's so much time in between like summer and winter here where we're just kind of sitting on our hands and we can't really shoot. And like we were like, what's the point of, you know, sitting around here when we could be like in the sun and potentially doing more work? So we think we're gonna like ride out the summer here and then head down there in the fall, winter.
Oh, cool.
And we'll be bouncing back and forth, keeping our office, keeping all our clients, like working the same amount here, but just like being able to be down there.
Oh, good. I was going to say, I got a list of stuff for you to shoot before you go.
No, man, we got to work together.
Yeah, no, we will. I've started doing this. I ask everyone the last question. What was your first car?
First car?
Yeah, what was the first car? Like high school, driving around, shitbox.
I think it was like essentially my dad's 04 Jetta.
Okay,
that
nice.
got given to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sick. It was diesel.
Yeah.
Manual.
Yeah. That's freaking cool.
Yeah, it was sick.
Yeah.
And he's like, the diesel will give you the freedom you need while you're in high school. Yeah. And sure enough, like I was getting like over 1,000 kilometers to a tank.
Unbelievable.
So I was like, you know, this is the dream. Like, especially now I drive a pickup truck. I'm like,
not so much.
Yeah, with the fuel price, I just got a pickup truck as like the fuel prices are completely skyrocketing. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I do miss that diesel.
Yeah, dude.
So I essentially had like diesel Volkswagens my whole life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because of that?
Yeah. I fell in love with them, and the wagons were amazing. Like I had a few wagons that were diesel, and the mileage was crazy.
I'm a big fan of those.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
What was yours?
The first car that I ended up driving was an 06 Cobalt SS, like a Chevy Cobalt.
Oh, yeah.
It was stick. It was a 2-door. It was fun. It was under 10 grand. Bought it and sold it. Made some dough.
No way.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
Yeah, I bought and sold one Mustang before I got my G1, though. It was like, that was when my dad was like, all right, you guys should learn how to buy and sell cars. Go buy and sell cars.
No way.
So, yeah, bought and sold it and never got to drive it. But it is what it is. Yeah.
Probably regret selling it now.
No. I regretted it when I first turned 16, though. Yeah.
Had a Cobalt. You're like, could have had that Mustang.
Yeah. No, it was good. And then like mostly just like winter beaters. Like, going up to the ski hill and stuff. Like, you want to go do donuts in the parking lot. You want to like not care. You want to I had this pickup truck that I'd like take into the fields at lunch and like field car around and stuff.
No way.
Yeah, so
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Now you're racing NASCAR.
Yeah.
NASCAR Gary.
Well, that's what Kenny calls me up north. Or all your buddies.
All the boys it caught on with.
Yeah, NASCAR.
Like, NASCAR Gary.
Dude, as if and no one else our age is named Gary. You don't have to call me that.
I know. I think it's just the novelty of it.
Yeah. Superbike Kenny, NASCAR Gary.
Yeah.
You could have, dude, your crew is so like everyone's so good at something. You could call everyone by that.
I know, it's true.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to be able to keep up with those guys at some of the activities we do. It's like everyone's pretty much professional at one thing or another.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, man, that's good. Tell the people where they can find you. You got a long list of websites, social media.
Yeah, our business site's taylorreid.ca, and then our Instagram's Taylor Reid Creative, and then my personal Instagram is Paul Reid with 2 Ds.
Cool. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me, man. That was fun.
Always fun.
Cool to see the facility too.
So that was Paul Reid. If you guys enjoyed the podcast, tell a friend. I don't really do any advertising, so this thing really just grows by word of mouth. I can't believe how big the podcast has already gotten, and I really appreciate you guys listening. Stay tuned next week. You're going to like that one.